What's going on, everybody? It's your host of the Morning Beer Podcast, Devereaux Davis. But today we're not doing the Morning Beer Podcast. We're doing something a little bit different today. Today's the first episode of Murder Mystery, Conspiracies, and the Paranormal. That's a lot right there to say. I'm going to have to find a way to shorten that or abbreviate it or something. But anyway, we're venturing into the true crime and horror genre or whatever. So go ahead and listen. If this is something that you can rock with, definitely do so. If it's something that you're not into, if you know somebody that's into it, definitely let them know. I'm going to give you a quick story, a quick rundown of some horrible people that commits crimes and murders and stuff like that. Some ghosty stuff, you know, things of that nature. If you're with that, definitely listen. If not, I totally get it. Please, if there's something that you can't jive with, definitely leave it alone. It's not for you. Totally get it. It's not your lane. It's not your lane. Totally get it, all right? But if you're with that, definitely listen. I have a good story for you today. Well, I don't know if it's really a good story. None of these stories are actually good because the things that happen in it, the crimes that's committed, the person that's dying from it, it's not a good story for them at all. But it's an interesting story. It kind of parallels on the realm of Edmund Kemper. If you know who Edmund Kemper is, this guy right here his story relates to a lot. Edmund Kemper is probably, the show Mindhunters is based on the first season, the first episode. This is a guy who killed his mom. And I forgot the terminology for that when you kill your parents, parenticide or something like that. Something of that nature. Forgive me for not knowing that, but if you know what it is, leave it down in the comment. But Edmund Kemper killed his mom, killed his grandparents, his grandmom, grandfather, I think on the mom's side or dad's side, I forgot what it was. Also killed his mom's best friend and a few other college girls. He was known as the co-ed killer. But this story is not about Edmund Kemper. It just parallels with Edmund Kemper in the sense of the way the guy articulates himself in the interview, the way, what he did as far as killing his own mom, and to the degree that he killed his mom, and the fact of necrophilia. So if there's something that you can't deal with, like I said, again, step aside, you know. So anyway, the person we're talking about today is Kevin Davis. No relation to me at all. He's basically from Corpus Christi, Texas, 17 years old, committed his crime on March 27, 2014. What he did was kill Kimberly Hill, 50 years old, from Texas, and that's his mom. All right, so Kevin Davis, pretty much, I'm gonna get right to it, man. But like I was saying about Edmund Kemper, it parallels, and the way that he talks in the interview, which I might show some of the interview later on in this maybe at the very end of this video or whatever. But it just freaks me out how it's like so similar. But anyway, Edmund Kemper happened in the 70s. What's his name? Kevin Davis. This happened in 2014. So Kevin Davis, right, pretty much went to his mom on March 27, 2014, told her that he's tired of people, he's tired of living, tired of life, had enough at 17 years old, and he's ready to hang it up. He wants to off himself. If you can't deal with that, step aside. All right? Totally get it. I know you have to leave these warnings now on YouTube. But anyway, moving on. Kevin asked his mom if he could off himself. She obviously said, as his mom, no, you cannot commit. So she told him, no, however, I can't stop you. This response from his mom did not jive well with Kevin. Kevin got pissed off with her saying that I can't stop you. And instead of him going ahead and doing the deed, he flipped his idea around and said, listen, I'm going to kill you instead. He didn't actually tell her that, but he just went ahead and did it. So what he did was, as his mom sat down on the couch, came from a hard day of working, sat down at home, he took the gaming cord. So now, this is 2014, so it has to be like either a PlayStation or Xbox cord. He took it and tried to strangle her with it. Kevin, mind you, 17 years old, super scrawny, super thin, not really fit, couldn't actually finish the job strangling her with the gaming cord. So what Kevin did was take a hammer. Took a hammer and bashed her in the head. What he did was bash her 20 plus times, over 20 times, to the point that her brain became mush. Now Kevin, after bashing her over 20 times, went and took a knife. With this knife, the opening in her head, he stabbed the knife into that opening and stirred up her brains. if you need to step away, I totally get it. He stirred up her brains in her head. He said the consistency of it, and he said this in interviews, felt like putty, made a gushy sound, and he actually tasted it. So we're not only talking about cannibalism, also to add to this, right? So he tasted his mom's brain, and he tasted pretty much, So moving on. So this happened in the living room. So he decided to take the body, remove it from the living room, pull it into the bedroom, into her bedroom. Kevin, 17 years old, never lost his virginity. Kevin decided on March 27, 2014 to lose his virginity to a corpse. So now we're talking about cannibalism, necrophilia, and parenticide. I don't really remember the terms. Please correct me if I'm wrong or whatever. And with that, he took her into the room, had sex to completion with her corpse. And yeah, there's that. And he actually mentioned it in the interview, and you'll see the interview when we're done with this. He pretty much mentioned that, hey, and in the interview, the interview is so off-putting because he's so emotionless, so matter-of-fact, so nonchalant about how he feel about his mom and what he did. He actually mentioned that she didn't deserve that, and that he actually loved his mom. But mind you, he just finished strangling, hammering, stabbing, having sex with, and eating his mom. But he loves her. So Kevin Davis decides to have sex with the corpse. After he has sex with the corpse, he actually leaves the house. But before he leaves the house, this is what he left. He left a note for the cops. In that note, he said, "Sorry for the mess." And KD, yeah, a real winner there, man. He's a real guy. So I gotta refer back to the notes because I'm on first episode, so gotta have notes, right? Leave a note for the cops. After this, KD decides to run off and run away. He's gonna run far away. He's gonna get away with this crime and never be found ever again, and live happily ever after. So he hops on a bike, like every other 17-year-old. They have a bike. Hops on the bike and decides to ride away. Right, but he doesn't get too far. He decides to change his mind because the young, dumb thinking kicks in, and he decides to turn himself in, which is a good thing, Kevin. But unfortunately, you committed a horrible crime. And when he turned himself in, he went to a random house. It was a couple's house somewhere in Corpus Christi, Texas, and decides to knock on the door and ask them to call the cops. They do call the cops, but they make Kevin speak to the operator, and Kevin turns himself in. Cops come to the house and arrest Kevin. And with that, the story is done. He's arrested and never sees the light of day again. He's been in jail been put in jail for life. He's eligible to come home sometime in 2044. But the interview is what you're going to hear now. And in the interview, he talks about why he killed his mom, the reason why he killed his mom, the method about how he killed his mom, what he did with the body, how he pretty much turned himself in after. But also besides that, he had no emotion. He claims that he's not crazy in the interview. He knew fully what he did. He has no regrets with what he done. He's satisfied with what he did. He won't take it back, and he lost his virginity to the corpse. He also talked about how he fantasized about this for a while. And in his fantasy, he also had a fantasy of killing his sister. Now, mind you, Kevin also had a sister, older sister, who was supposed to come home that night. She didn't make it home. He waited for her, actually. Sorry, let me not jump ahead. He waited for her for a little bit because he was going to do the same thing to her. He was going to kill her and have sex with her. Right? But then he changed his mind. Kevin decided, this is too much. I did enough killing. I had my fill for the day. I don't need to do any more killing. So what he did was leave. And he decided he had enough killing, and he decided he's not going to kill his sister. Now, I'm going to let you sit back and think about this whole story and how screwed up it is. And before you even get further into thinking about it, you're gonna hear, oh, sorry. My dog decides to cross and hit the rope and made me jump. Sorry. That's the co-host. She wanted to be known. You know they have to be known before the video's up. So anyway, she decides to, he decides to not kill his sister, which fortunately for her, that's a good thing. Unfortunately, she has to deal with the mom being dead. And that's just crazy, man. That was Kevin Davis, man, from Corpus Christi, Texas, doing life in prison. Never going to see the light of day. Maybe 2044, he might be eligible for parole, but they never let this guy home. He said he will do it again. He said he will commit crimes, and it's best that he's locked up and never be seen again. He wants to do this again, but what about you wanting to off yourself, right? I thought that was your thing, so how come you haven't done it so far in prison? Not telling you to do it. I'm not giving you some suggestions, but that just shows you how much that story was BS. He wanted, in my opinion, to kill his mom all along, and he just needed the right words to be said to do so. Just kind of like Edmund Kemper, who also killed his mom, who also had sex with the corpse, and who also needed the right things to be said in order for him to snap and end up killing his mom. He did the same thing. This is why I feel the two stories parallel so much more than any other story. They parallel a lot. So if you agree with me, leave it down in the comments. This is just a weird story. Let me know if you ever heard this story before. This is not really a story that's talked about a lot. It's pretty dark, but it's not talked about a lot, but it did happen, and it's very deep. Thanks for watching the first episode of Murder Mystery, Conspiracies, and the Paranormal. I'm your host, Denver Davis. Episode 2 coming soon. You take care. Peace.